Story 1. Am I the a-hole for telling another gym member to wear a bra? I, 25 female, effing hate wearing bras. They're uncomfortable, constricting, and expensive. With work from home, I spent the last year and a half basically never wearing a bra and got used to it. Quite frankly, my boobs are non-existent anyways. I recently started going to the gym again and started working out braless. I should note that up until now, no one has ever pointed out anything wrong with me not wearing a bra. However, in the middle of a set of squats, yes, mid-squat, a guy comes up to me, taps me on the shoulder to get my attention, and tells me that my nipples are poking through my shirt. I get really irritated because why the F is this guy staring at my nipples in the first place and then stopping me mid-set to inform me? I get really annoyed, try to finish my set, but then this effer literally grabs the bar as I ascend and re-racks it for me. He claims it looked like I was having trouble with the last rep and that he had come over to make sure I could do it, then noticed my nipples. I'm really effing peed off at this point and told him I didn't need his help finishing my set and why the F was he looking at my chest in the first place. He said he was going to spot me but then noticed my chest and thought it'd be inappropriate. I pointed out that the safety bar was set, so even if I did fail the set, he wasn't needed. But he just insisted people at gyms look out for each other, and that going forward, I should probably wear a bra so other people wouldn't get uncomfortable, and that it may help me stay more balanced in my squats. I'm literally the only girl at the weight section of the gym at the moment, and the other guys who were squatting and failed sets never have to worry about this crap. I've seen guys fail multiple sets in a row and no one ever rushes to their aid, but I have a very slight pause and everyone thinks I need rescuing. So now I'm really annoyed and also kind of uncomfortable that this guy I've never spoken to in my life thinks he's helping me and then has the audacity to tell me how to dress. So I tell him, "You have bigger boobs and nipples than I do. Maybe you should wear a bra so people won't get uncomfortable and you won't fail your squats." He then got really defensive, saying he was just trying to help, then called me a B. Honestly, I'm not sure if I overreacted, but I'm still kind of peed off, so maybe that's clouding my judgment. Am I the a-hole? Okay, you are not the a-hole, first off, for a number of reasons. A, at the gym, you don't rush over and start, doing, like taking stuff from someone just because they've paused for a second. If someone gives you a look or they say help or spot or something like that, yeah, do it. If they want a spot, they will let you know beforehand. You don't just go over and be like, well, looks like you can't handle that. Let me help. No, that's just normal gym etiquette. Guy, gal, non-binary pal, you don't do that to people unless they genuinely look like they're in trouble. And if the safeties are on, just chill out. Second, as far as bras, who cares? I don't care if your boobs are bigger or not, whatever. Oh my God, I could see the nipples through your shirt. So what? Who cares? Just leave it be. It's nipples. This person is not going around shirtless and everything. And even if they were, I genuinely wouldn't have a problem with it. We make such a big deal out of breasts. Just calm down, folks. Breasts, pecs, all that kind of stuff, they're great, but just calm down. But the person's wearing a shirt, so maybe focus on yourself, my dude, because clearly you need some work. And I'm not just talking about your bicep curls or whatever, you jerk. Story 2. Am I the a-hole for telling my mother-in-law she can no longer have contact with my son? I'm a single mom, 42 female, of 4. Arden, 13 female, Brianne, 11 female, Robin, 10 male, and Kaya, 7 female. All of us except Robin are deaf, with ASL as our first language. Arden and Brianne's dad, 46 male, left when the girls were 4 and 2, and at Kaya's dad, Alex, 43 male, shortly after. He had just come into custody of his nephew, Robin. Robin's bio mom, Layla, 47 female, gave Robin up to focus on recovering from her long-term drug addiction. Robin is fully aware of who his bio mom is, but considers Alex to be his dad and has called me his mom since the age of 2 or 3-ish. Layla has told me in the past how grateful she is for me filling that role and that she feels more like Robin's aunt than his mom. All this to say, when Alex was diagnosed with cancer 2 years ago, it was pretty clear to all of us that I would continue to raise Robin as my son after Alex's death. Alex passed away in June, and ever since, his mom has been causing problems. While she's never been outwardly hostile towards me/my children, She often complains about our use of American Sign Language. Most of the family learned at least some basics to support communication, but mother-in-law insisted she was too old and couldn't do it, and has made comments in the past about my inability as a mother due to my deafness. My older girls are practically non-existent to her, and she often forgets that Kaya is her grandchild too and focuses solely on Robin. Mother-in-law spent most of the funeral telling people that I was unfit and trying to steal Robin away from his real family. It was hurtful to say the least and made me uncomfortable welcoming mother-in-law into my home after that, but I convinced myself that it was for the best benefit of the kids. They've just lost their dad. I didn't want to take away my grandparents too. Last Saturday, Robin came back from an outing with mother-in-law looking miserable. He wouldn't talk to anyone about what had happened and spent the rest of the weekend shut away in his room. I tried to ask mother-in-law what was going on, but she didn't answer any of my messages. Finally, Robin broke down in tears asking me if Grandma was really going to take him away. It turns out that mother-in-law has been repeatedly telling Robin that she's going to take him away from us, even telling him she'll call CPS on me to have the kids removed. On Saturday, mother-in-law had gone even further, saying she could just drive away from him and he'd never have to see us again. I immediately sent mother-in-law a message informing her that she was no longer welcome in my home or near any of the kids, and let Layla know what was going on and that she was still welcome to visit/have Robin to stay if mother-in-law was nowhere nearby. My phone has been blowing up ever since with people asking me to reconsider. I haven't said anything about what happened, so can only assume mother-in-law is spreading false information, but all the negative responses are making me doubt if I'm actually in the right. Holy crap, are you ever in the right? You have been a mother to this child, taking care of Robin. And whether or not, if Robin's biological mom did want to help, fulfill that role in some regard, I imagine a conversation would happen at that point. But for this mother-in-law or whatever to come in and act like this and tell this child she's going to take him away and to call the person who posted this unfit because they're deaf. Being deaf does not make you an unfit parent at all. You're a perfectly capable parent. And the fact that not only is Robin absolutely fine in a home that has American Sign Language going on, but what an amazing benefit for Robin to also be able to learn American Sign Language, to learn this wonderful, valuable way of communicating that honestly, I wish I would get back into learning. I tried to learn it back in junior high and high school, and I used to know a bit more. Now I'm super bad and rusty, but I should learn it again. It is wonderful. And it makes me so upset that mother-in-law would be like that. What an absolutely awful, awful way to be. And I know that in her head, it's for the best for the child or something. She thinks she's doing a good thing. But if you think you're doing a good thing by disparaging someone else, then you need to rethink that. And to this person who has continued to take care of Robin and all that stuff and be a mother figure in Robin's life, thank you. Story 3. I found out my husband and dearest friend were having an affair. My ex-husband and I met when our best friends married each other. He was the best man, and I was the maid of honor. After a couple of years, we all lived in the same community and had our 4 children in the same time frame. We hired my friend, let's call her Hobag, to be our attorney for our business when we thought about selling franchises. Hobag and my ex, let's call him Dog, spent lots of late nights working out the kinks and contracts and more. On July, they had to go to New York for a week to interview prospective franchisees. Her ex-husband called me to say he'd hired a detective who followed them and saw them all lovey-dovey and that they only had 1 hotel room. Well, since it was July and sizzling, her front right minivan window was open about 2 inches. I took it upon myself to puree a few raw shrimp with chicken broth and strain the solids out. Then I fed a long tube down to her rear passenger carpet and under the seats as best I could. I didn't choose the front seat because it had removable mats. I then slowly funneled about half a cup of my potion down the tube. That week it was over 90 degrees every day. It was ghastly, a triumph. Her husband and I didn't let on that we knew about their affair until we each had consultations with every good lawyer in our city and had our financial ducks in a row. Petty, effective revenge I don't regret. I mean, I can't blame you for doing it. I don't know that that would necessarily come to mind for me, but having someone slight you like that and everything, yeah, I don't blame you for wanting a little revenge, and it's the kind of revenge that's not physically harming a person. I mean, unless you count possibly, retching up their lunch to be physical assault of some sort, so. Yeah, also, God, that just sucks. That just, talk about cheaters so much on here, and it's so depressing because I feel like so much of this could be resolved with effective communication, or at the very least avoided, because it's like, if you're doing that, then why aren't you talking with your partner about this distance you're feeling and, like, work it out, or get a divorce, get separated, and then pursue other people and stuff. Don't just sneak around and cheat. Just, A, it's gross and cruel and immoral, and B, you're all just such dinguses and you're gonna get caught. You all will always get caught, so just do yourself a favor and communicate. Story 4. Ex left me for a good friend, so now I'm going to meet and work for their favorite artist. Last year, my partner of many years, who I was ready to propose to and marry, and one of our good friends, started getting far more close than I was really comfortable with during a period I was working long and hard to provide for us. She started getting distant, and they were cozying up. Eventually, they tried to guilt me into accepting a polyamorous relationship, which I wasn't cool with. And when I ultimately put my foot down on the idea, she ended up choosing them over me. My ex tried to turn the entire friend group against me, which didn't work but did scar me mentally, and I found out a lot of other terrible things she'd been doing, like using my money for parties or spending it on her now current partner/ex-friend. She consistently trashed me on social media when I never talked bad about her, even after all the hurt and pain I went through. I went through a massive depressive episode that I'm still struggling with today, losing my business, sanity, and even my human will to live. It was the darkest time of my life for this and some other reason. But I kept reminding myself that I have to outlive my enemies, and a life well lived is the best revenge one can have. So I set a plan in motion. There's a very famous DJ my ex has a huge tattoo for and absolutely loves more than anything, besides Molly probably, and her new partner is a massive fan as well. I believe they even traveled to go see said artist recently. Travel was our big thing I got her into. And while I had this plan for a while, I kicked into overdrive and finally got it done after finding that out. I worked many years as a videographer/photog in the touring music world. It was the dream that I eventually gave up to be at home more and focus on building our relationship more as I got older. During my career, I worked with some decently known artists and built a few important connections. I opened up my old contacts list and went down the rabbit hole until I was able to get in contact with the DJ's team and set up to be paid handsomely for doing touring work, running fan meetups, managing their Instagram content, etc. My work and name will be promoted all over their socials for my ex and her partner to see, and you best believe I'll be taking plenty of selfies. And while my original motivation was pure spite, I am super excited to be following my dreams again and getting another opportunity to be creative, plus meet so many amazing new people on the road again. First off, I would encourage all of you watching this to really hang on to that little idiom, that phrase, the best revenge is a life well lived. It really is true. Sometimes as much as you want revenge on like an old partner or something like that, or maybe even just a friend who's wronged you, whatnot, the best revenge is just a life well lived, letting them know that it's like, hey, even though you goofed me over and all that stuff, I'm actually happier without you here, and I'm doing wonderfully. You were inconsequential, and in fact, you were perhaps the anchor holding me back from happiness. How does that make you feel? And it's not necessarily fully true, but it's enough to, that is revenge right there. But I would say second best revenge is definitely getting to hang out with someone that they absolutely adore while they don't get to, and just being like, look what I'm doing. Look who you could have been hanging with if you weren't so rotten. So, yeah, I'll applaud both of those mindsets. Well done. Story 5. Today I effed up by agreeing to an open relationship. Obviously a throwaway. To put things into perspective, I, 20 male, and my girlfriend, 21 female, had been dating/together for 4 and a bit years. Typical high school sweethearts, we wanted to move away and start our own lives after college. we decided to spice things up a bit and open up our relationship a little. It was pretty much a joint decision, but looking back, she was kind of insistent on the whole intercourse is fun idea. She is on a night out with some friends when she phones me and asks if the whole open relationship thing is still cool, explaining she's met a guy, 24 male, and asks for me to pay for a hotel because she wasn't working at the time. I agreed. I tell her to go for it, and she does. She texts me to say she had a good night and that all was well. The week after, she mentions she's meeting up with this guy again. Wasn't expecting it, but I'm cool with it. Again, asks me to pay for her hotel, a decision I would live to regret. She doesn't text me the entire night. Weird, but okay, maybe she's just having a good time. The next day, I receive a load of messages about how she needs a break from everything right now. Meeting this guy has apparently opened her eyes. A little more conversation, and we're over. She's completely cut me out of her life. I check her Snapchat story, and of course, she's with him. I've heard from her friends that they're dating now. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Here's the thing. A, you've been high school sweethearts for 4 years. So basically since you were like 16 up until 20 or whatever, 17 to 21, whatever it is. You're still very young and finding yourselves out. I know it's such a cliche for someone my age to be saying that to like teenagers who've just become in their 20s, but you really are. You're newer to adulthood, maybe still dealing with college, trying to figure things out in your life. And yeah, I mean, in hindsight for you especially, that whole open relationship thing was, maybe just the start of things drifting apart. It doesn't have to be for everyone. There are couples who have made that kind of stuff work, but definitely not for everyone. And I don't know, I'd say that you're young enough and you seemed down enough. You said that she was more insistent, but it was still a joint decision. Doesn't seem like you felt super pressured by it. It does suck that you had to pay for the hotel rooms and stuff like that, but it is also good that she was, having open communication about that stuff with you, not just like leaving you wondering. So I don't know. I really don't blame anyone in that situation. It's an unusual situation. It's not a typical thing people deal with, but it does happen. And I think even if you had never agreed to an open relationship, there's a good chance you still probably would have broken up. And, you would have spent money on her in other ways too, being a couple and being the one in the relationship making the money probably. So I don't know. I really wouldn't hold it against yourself. And I wouldn't say that it was an F up. It was something that you tried that didn't work out. And that's not effing up. That's just life. But I hope you're doing okay. Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.